Welcome to Compass Stories. I'm your host, Veronica Sterling. And my work is centered on helping people who are in the middle of disruption rediscover meaning, strengthen connection, and move forward with courage. I do this through speaking, sharing experiences, and storytelling. I'm grateful that you've joined me for a conversation today. And if it resonates with you, I hope that you will share it with someone else in your life. Thanks for being here. Listener, I am in Kings Canyon National Park. Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Parks share a boundary with each other, and we've spent the last few days here exploring both of them. And this is a very unique area. There are these giant sequoia trees here. They only grow in this small section of the world. And when I say giant, I'm talking like diameters of 40 feet or wider. And the trees are 2,000, even 3,000 years old. It's just really incredible to walk around them. It's like you feel so small, but somehow connected to everything all at the same time. And if you are watching this travel diary entry, yes, that is real snow behind me. Was a bit of a springtime surprise from the mountains. We had a snowstorm blow through here and it put about 3 inches on the ground. It changed some of our plans during the day, but for the most part, we have just been able to enjoy being in this forest. I'll tell you, the cold temperature here has made comfort a little harder to come by. But honestly, reaching this part of the trip has felt a little like exhaling. At the beginning of this journey, there was such a fast pace to everything. Long drive days, just constant movement, constant figuring out the next route, the next step. Figure out over and over again. But we've had 4 nights here in this forest, and that's long enough to slow down a little. It's long enough to settle in. And one thing that I keep noticing here is play. People aren't just observing the trees, they're interacting with them, walking under fallen trunks, standing inside hollow spaces, touching the bark. There was so much laughter on the trails, just playing in the forest and playing in the snow. There's something about this place that seems to invite everyone to participate, not just pass through it. But it is still a vast wilderness, and we experienced that yesterday when we drove the scoot down towards an area called the Giant Forest so that we could see the General Sherman tree. It was an hour-long drive on a beautiful switchback mountain road. The ride was cold, but the views were amazing. We spent some time out hiking, and suddenly the weather shifted. A thick fog rolled in and covered the mountain road. We were stuck for a minute trying to decide what to do. We didn't want to drive the hour-long route back to camp in this fog. But then we realized a snowstorm was rolling in soon. And with only our scooter and some trail snacks, waiting around no longer felt like the best option. So we started heading back. We knew this scoot was going to be long and hard. A steady rain started. It joined that thick fog and quickly began soaking through our clothes. It was so cold. And for the first few minutes, it felt incredibly isolating. It was just the two of us and the scooter, and it felt like we were going at this alone, and there was a lot of uncertainty about whether or not we had made the right decision. But we turned onto the main road, and then some shapes appeared in the fog. One car, and then another. Flashers blinking, everyone moving slowly. everyone trying to make their way home safely. And this experience really stood out to me. We weren't alone. We were in a group of people trying to figure this out. Tucked inside our little caravan, it felt like a small connection had been made. Yes, we were complete strangers, but we were all navigating this hard condition together. And sure, there were drivers with better equipment and more familiarity with the road than we had, but we were a part of this group. We were all connected, and none of us had complete certainty. Everyone was just doing their best to move forward. By the time we reached camp, drivers were smiling, waving, even honking their horn a little and cheering us on home. This experience made me think of other times in my life when I believed I needed to have it all figured out before I could reach out and connect with others. Do you know this feeling? The reaching out feels a little scary sometimes, doesn't it? It feels like we convince ourselves that we should know the answers before anything else can ever happen. Before joining the group, before asking the question, before admitting the uncertainty. But in this season of my life, I am realizing something very different. I'm realizing that we don't go at it alone, figure it all out, and then get rewarded by connecting with others who have figured it all out too. Connection is the tool that keeps us moving forward while we are figuring it out. And maybe this is part of what courage looks like. It's not about confidence. It's not about certainty. It's just a willingness to step forward and stay in motion long enough to find others moving through the fog too. Listener, are you in a season that would benefit from connection? Can you identify the group, organization, or possible mentor to help you expand your capacity and find your next step? Identifying isn't the only part of this process. That isn't enough. The capacity grows when you reach out. The figuring out happens when you allow yourself to connect with others. So I have another soundscape to share with you today. And this one's a little different. I wanted to pass on some information to you about these trees because they are so unique and so special. And Kyle and I were able to enjoy a ranger talk when we were out at the General Grant tree in Kings Canyon. And she let me record her while she was sharing some information in her program. And so I put together a few of the clips here. And I'm going to put that recording after the outro of this episode. I hope that you like it. If you do, send me a message. I'll keep trying to figure out how to capture these soundscapes while we're out here. That's been a fun little challenge for me to learn, so I hope that you enjoy it too. And thanks for being here, listener. I will see you at the next destination. Thank you for listening to this episode of Compass Stories. I'm your host, Veronica Sterling. And if you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to hear more and share it with others. Thank you for doing so. That's really helpful for me. To learn more about my message and connect, you can find me at www.veronicasterling.com.
You see the widest part from here, but if you go around to the left, big trees, right? So again, these draw the eye, and so the question sort of remains then, why and how do these trees really get so big? So our quick two answers we'll talk about is they basically live in this really good environment to grow, and they live a really long time. And you put those two things together, and you get the biggest trees on our planet. So let's talk about those two things. This environment that we're in around us believe it or not, is usually very sunny. Rare rain. But what's a big, wide open forest, right? So it's not a very dense forest. I'm originally from Western Washington. Very dense, mossy forest, lots of trees together, right? Different types of forest. This is wide open and sunny, usually. So we've got lots of sunlight for these trees. Of course, we know trees and all plants need sunlight to grow. What else do plants need? Water! So we gotta get a lot of water here. Now, our Californians know it does not rain very much, especially in the middle of the summer. It's pretty dry. That's normal, the climate here. But in the wintertime, we do get a lot of snow here, or the rest of California gets a lot of rain. So, if you're here in February, imagine there's 2 to 3 feet of snow around. Maybe it's snowing on you. It's so pretty. And all that snow that's going to melt then this time of year, in the springtime, higher up, right? All this green meadows, these green grass, that's showing you that it has been a wettish spring. April was pretty wet. And all that snow melt is going to kind of pool up places, and the roots of the sequoia trees are going to stretch out and find all of that water. So even though it doesn't rain a lot here, they're going to live in this area where there's snow melt, basically. And they're very particular, and I'll get you in a sec. They're only going to live basically between 5 and 8,000 feet of elevation. A little Goldilocks zone. Too low? Well, there's really no snow. It's going to be rain, and then they can't use that later in the season. Too high? Well, winter's a little bit too long, maybe a little too windy, too cold. So this Goldilocks zone between about 5 and 8,000 feet. That's it, because they really do need this snowpack to be able to survive. All sequoias, I mean, it's sort of obvious, right? But they all started small. It's kind of hard to think about when you see a tree this big, right? But they all did start very, very small. As a seed, I'm going to pass them around. You cannot see them very well because they are so tiny. So I'll pass them around, and they all come from cones that are about the size of a chicken egg. A tree like this can have 10,000, 20,000 cones on it. So these are all what they started. All of them start super tiny as one seed coming from a cone. And they do grow pretty fast as they're young, sometimes up to a foot a year, right? You'll get a little sapling in a couple years. It'll start growing and growing and growing until it sort of turns into our teenage tree, if you will. Still doesn't look what we think of when we think of a giant sequoia tree, but again, they have to start somewhere. They're growing, growing, growing. They do eventually reach their full height. It takes somewhere between 500 and 800 years, so maybe around 700 years or so, they are going to be what we might call a mature giant sequoia. But this tree here is estimated to be 1,600 to 2,000 years old. And giant sequoia trees can live longer than 3,000 years old. So the answer of what killed a giant sequoia tree is like, not much, right? If it's made it to its mature adult stage, it's going to be able to survive a lot.